everybody, Father Steve Mateja with you for another edition of Ask Father Anything. I'm here with my really good friend, Tiffany Welka. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Father.
Tiffany is my financial advisor, and I am in her studio because she has a podcast and a YouTube channel. Tiffany, why don't you plug that?
It's the Welka Wealth Podcast, and you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, pretty much any iTunes.
Yeah. That's where I find her at, is on iTunes. So I'm here. I recorded a few podcasts and episodes with her, and then she's here going to look at my financial well-being. And so just while we were here, I just said, hey, Tiffany, do you mind just filming something for me, just for me to post up? So really the question that comes to mind so often at times for us as Catholics is it wrong to worry about our finances? You are a financial planner, a fiduciary, right?
Right.
So like some people struggle so much with worrying about their finances, their financial planning, making sure things are in order, and they oftentimes take their focus off of God. As a faithful Catholic woman who works in marriage prep, this is how I know Tiffany, was helping young couples prepare for their futures. What would you say to that? I mean, is it wrong for us as Christians to worry about our finances and to plan as Christians in that sense?
I think that worrying about finances makes finances as your center, and realistically, God needs to always be your center. So having worry and anxiety over finances is something that I definitely don't recommend.
Yeah.
That's why people have people like me to help and guide them so that they don't have to worry about those things. And we can put together a plan to make it feel more solid so you don't feel like you're drowning underwater, and you don't feel like you have to worry about it, because you never want to put anything as the absolute center of your worries and your anxieties, except for God is the only thing that you want to keep as your center.
So what would you say to someone who is a faithful husband, wife? They're trying to raise their family. They're struggling to make ends meet. A good 9-to-5 job, what have you, struggling to make ends meet, but now they find themselves in debt. What perhaps is some advice? And now they're really worrying. Are they going to lose the house? Second car, all that kind of stuff. What would be some simple advice that you could give to someone across the table from you?
I think making sure that you have an understanding of exactly what you have is the best place to start. Because I found that a lot of people don't really realize how much they have, and that's where you have to begin, because you can't get anywhere unless you know where you're starting from, yeah. Right? So knowing what you have is the first step, and then the second step is figuring out exactly where you want to go. So you and I talked about this before too, but we're planners and we love setting goals and making sure that we hit them. So setting a goal for yourself is the second step. Knowing what you have is first. Figuring out where you want to be is the second step. And the third step would be to figure out what you need to do to get there.
I think that's so wise. Thank you so much, my sister, for sharing that. And then, as Catholics, as a Catholic priest and as a practicing Catholic yourself, do you think that it's important for Catholics to give back to the church, for us to tithe, for us to give to the collection? Do you think that's something important for us to do?
I definitely think that that's important.
Did we do a podcast on that?
We may have done a podcast about this. But I do think that it's important to tithe. And one thing that you mentioned to me that is really sticking to my heart is that God is our creator, and we would not have anything. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for him. Yeah. And tithing actually means, the definition of it is 1/10. And so giving back 1/10 of what you have to the church, to the Holy Mother Church, is allowing you to keep 90% of what you have. So giving 10% is really important to keep the church going and to keep the ministry of the church going. so that we can endure through many, many, many more years to come.
Yeah, thanks be to God. So the Jews had this understanding in the Old Testament of offering their first harvest, and you can just imagine a family during harvest time. That first harvest comes, a family, a farmer, a husband. He's like, I just want to feed my family, my son, my daughter, my wife, my children, my ailing grandmother. They deserve food. But the understanding was God gets the first harvest. And we make that sacrifice. And sometimes tithing, sometimes our financial plan and worrying about cutting budgets and on all of that and having a plan that Tiffany talked about. Sometimes there's a pinch, isn't there?
Yeah.
You feel the pinch. And sometimes even in tithing, right? I might not want to step up my tithe of that $5 that I've been given every week for the last 20 years. It might be a pinch for us to step up to 6 or 7 or to 20 if I've been given 20 to 40. There's a pinch. But you know what? God receives that, and He wants to respond generously to our generosity.
I agree. A lot of times when I'm creating a spending plan for somebody, we immediately take out the tithe first and create the budget after that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
To make sure that it happens.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it won't happen, and you might feel like you don't have it to give.
Yeah.
But we all have it to give.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful principle just for all of us to live by, just to start with that. And we don't come from a lot of money, right? We're not all doing financially extraordinarily well, but to start with that principle, I think that's beautiful. Tiffany, how can people reach you, and if they want to sign up for a meeting with you to have them look at their plan and all of that kind of stuff?
So I'm at VFG Associates in Livonia, Michigan. And you can find us at vfgassociates.com, or you can hear my podcast at welkawealthpodcast.com.
Thank you so much. And you can continue to submit questions to askfatheranything@gmail.com. That's askfatheranything@gmail.com. Thank you so much, Tiffany.
Thanks, Father.
Yeah, God bless you guys.